Hello guys, we are going to be talking about healing abandonment trauma. I'm going to be going into identifying, healing, understanding abandonment trauma, how it blocks us in our lives, how we can break the shackles of it, because to be honest, abandonment wounds, fearing abandonment, I don't know how much people resonate fully with that in general. Like, oh, I fear abandonment. Some people do, but sometimes it can go over people's heads. Really, when you don't have your needs met at some point in your life, you were abandoned. Your needs were abandoned. It didn't mean that that person meant to do it, but it impacts our psyche and how we show up. Maybe you know that you fear abandonment and you feel how it holds you back in your relationships. This video will help you release it and so that you can take your power back, because truthfully, abandonment trauma keeps us out of our power and keeps our power in somebody else's hands. So it's 2024 and we're not doing that anymore. All right. So I wrote down notes for you guys because I wanted to make sure that I touched on everything that felt like it would be helpful for you. So first, I'm going to introduce myself. If you don't know me already, my name is Grace Moralia. I specialize in trauma and subconscious reprogramming. Healing on a soul level is what I facilitate. That could be across your entire soul's existence or from just this life, and so that you can remove these inner blocks and live in your soul's purpose. Free from the opinions of others, free to be yourself and love yourself. Okay? So please like and subscribe, and will you comment below because it boosts in the algorithm. I'm asking all of you guys to do that. Anything so that I can get my work out there would be really appreciated from me to you. I have a couple more one-on-one coaching spots available if you are wanting to go into deeper levels of your trauma healing, your past healing. And this really goes from childhood, past lives, generational, all throughout your whole body and multidimensionally. And this is just so that you can understand and deepen your relationship with yourself and your purpose. So you can book a consultation call below. It doesn't have to get super multidimensional if you're not spiritually open, but I'm hoping that you are if you're watching this video. So please like and subscribe. If I hadn't already said that, it helps me as well. So let's get into it. All right, like I said, I think that abandonment trauma is the biggest wound, one of the biggest wounds that humanity has, besides people pleasing. And it's because we grow up in an unconscious society. I'm just going to give you some background about abandonment trauma. Then we're going to get into tools and some practical stuff that you can do to heal it. And some aha moments hopefully will come through that experience for you. So we grew up in an unconscious society, right? Our parents don't really even know how to meet their needs. So how would we expect them to meet our needs most of the time? I've worked with 1,500 plus people at this point, and I think three or four, I think I actually hit the fourth one this past month, said that they really enjoyed their childhood. And obviously these people are coming for trauma healing, so there's probably more people who enjoyed their childhood, but this just shows me that many people didn't, or they didn't have their needs met. And even if you think you did have a good childhood, there are so many things that you could have been left in your crib too long crying, and that caused a wound in your subconscious. There's so many things about that, because abandonment comes down to fear in general. Fear, scarcity. When we hold that fear and scarcity in our bodies, it causes contraction in our lives. It causes contraction, not believing in ourselves, disconnecting from our intuition, having a hard time discerning what is, true guidance and what is fear from the mind. Because when we have old wounds that we're still dealing with in our psyche, which we all do, they like to run the show. If you've ever heard of parts work, I integrate that in my practice. It is, understanding the parts of yourself that can step up and run the show from a space of old patterns that don't serve you, right? And we can feel these things sometimes, and sometimes we don't know how we are acting out of these ways of being that aren't serving the whole anymore. So we first have to see, what are we carrying, right? So what wounds are we carrying? And anything that is fear related is a contraction point. It's not who we really are. If you've watched my other videos, you know that I talk about being who we really are, and that is in alignment with love. It is not fear, but we do carry a lot of fear. And so back to my original point of, we grow up in this unconscious, society. So we already grew up disconnected from who we are, disconnected from our intuition, disconnected from our needs. And a lot of times it's not even about what our parents said or didn't say. Actually, yeah, it's about the energy behind them, behind what they said or didn't say. If they were projecting onto you, or you felt the subtle energies of them not being able to show up for you or not validating you, it all comes back to that validation wound. Abandonment does. If they couldn't validate you, you stopped validating you. And what happens with traumas is, we take on the traumas and projections of other people who we are around. We are very susceptible to other people's thoughts, beliefs, and especially in those sensitive ages of 0 to 7, we're picking up our belief systems most then. So if you're not validated for what you feel, if you were told you were too much, if you were breadcrumbed, if you had a narcissistic parent, if you didn't have a parent, maybe they were just absent for some reason, okay? Or you grew up super independent even. All of these things can fall under fearing abandonment, because our deeper needs are not being met, which causes a sense of fear and anxiety in our body, and ends up perpetuating patterns that do not resonate with who we really are. They don't match who we really are, okay? So I call it puts on rose-colored glasses, not in the good kind of way, because this is how I describe it. Let's say you had a dad that you felt like you had to prove yourself worthy to receive love. You had to like ask. He wasn't meeting your needs, whatever. Maybe he was emotionally unavailable. Because of how deep that hits, because of the many years that was happening, it's like you grow up believing that everyone is a version of your dad, especially that gender. When you're dealing with men, for example, like, you're gonna believe that everyone is a reflection of your dad in some way, which means that the rose-colored glasses means when you're in an intimate relationship or you're in a friendship, you're fearing that you're going to be abandoned, that maybe your needs aren't enough or aren't valid, so you don't voice them, or you give too much to be received because you believe that by giving, you'll receive something. And that is not honoring your needs. It's not validating yourself, and it's keeping a pattern of attracting people who will breadcrumb you, or where you will be overgiving. And that will feel sticky, you will feel drained, and you need to learn to set up boundaries in those situations. But do you see how it's a circle? I really believe that all trauma cycles are circles. They need to be completed as a circle, which I'm not going to talk about in this video because I'm going to jump on a client call soon, and I want to make sure I get the most important parts of this video in, but I have time, so it's fine. So all traumas want to be completed. You can complete the trauma or pattern in your body by acknowledging it, by feeling it, by validating yourself, because those energies are what will heal you from the curse of that negativity, of that fear. So I'll talk more about that. So if you perceive everyone as someone who will abandon you, this can cause you to attach to people or situations that aren't good for you, or cause you to be or shrink into someone that you're not. There's a lot of things worse than this, but this is a hard situation to be in relationship when you are shrinking your needs down or shrinking your voice down because you fear that you won't be good enough if you share it. Because that means that you weren't in safe spaces to share it in periods of your life. So we need to get out of this debilitating pattern of not validating your own needs, and also thinking that, trying to be someone that you're not for validation or seeking that outside of you is so fleeting. If anyone here has been through an experience where you have seeked validation outside of you, we all have, right? We all want that. How long does that feeling truly last? Like, actually, if you're looking for validation from a lover or a boss, maybe it can hit a little bit. Maybe it can feel good a bit, all right? But, it lasts for like 20 seconds. Maybe someone will say, good job. And then you're like, oh, thank you. And then guess what happens? The wound is still there, so it's going to seek it again. I need more validation. I need more validation. I need more validation. Why? Because there's an unmet need underneath. And this is where the self-inquiry comes in for you. And I want you to think about this. What are your needs when you are seeking validation? What is your need underneath your abandonment wound? What is your need underneath your abandonment wound? And the way you figure this out is you get a piece of paper or you open your notes app and you write these down. What is the need? What is the emotion underneath the need? Because then it comes into, is this really a need or is this just a wound? Sometimes we think we have a need, but really it's just a wounded part. And that wounded part comes down to inner child wounds, past wounds. Okay? So, if you can sit with yourself and ask yourself what you genuinely need, your power already starts coming back to you because you are not externalizing your power to other people. Stop externalizing your power. I feel like I want to put that in the video title. Hold on one second. That's really good. So you complete the cycle when you put your power back in your hands. Why? Because then you understand that you can emotionally regulate yourself. You can validate yourself. You can meet your deeper needs. You can heal your wounds just with an understanding of what is underneath them. Okay? So let's say you get clear about your abandonment trauma and what the need is. You're going to be meeting face to face or energy to energy with your inner child. Therefore, this taps into some reparenting here again. You can meet your inner child's needs, which is actually healing the past. With the, I call them my transformative healing techniques, which is what I share in depth and guide you through during my one-on-one coaching program. What we're doing is we're reversing the wounds in your body and subconscious. And you're learning how to do that for yourself so that you can use it for any wound that you have, which in turn creates a deep sense of self-love and self-care. So it restores you back to your soul because these wounds block you from loving yourself. These wounds block you from purpose. So when you're sitting face to face with your inner child, you are able to heal the past in this moment. Everything exists right now. The reason why it's still bothering you is because it's still in your energy field. It's still in the quantum field. You still feel it like it's here because it is. It's still in your body. And that's why you need to learn the tools to rewire those beliefs and traumas in your body, okay? So when you sit face to face with your inner child, you're starting to meet your needs. You're able to love it in the way that you needed. And then the rose-colored glasses start to come off. You start seeing things clearly. You take your power back. You know, you can validate those needs for yourself and create a relationship to self where you're honoring that. You're honoring that. It's like you're bandaging up the wound, but you're allowing it to truly heal. You're not letting it become, continually triggered without looking at the deeper why. It's really important, and this is where therapy doesn't hit sometimes for people, at least that come to me, is that we can't keep talking about it. We need to actually, go into the body, go into the subconscious, right? And take your power back so that it stops. Or else people are going to keep mirroring to you your quote unquote lack of self-worth, your fear of abandonment, your pain. And that's a story that doesn't need to be your story anymore. You are not your wounds. You are not your wounds, but you need to see what you're worth. And how are you going to see what you're worth when you have a block inside of you that fears abandonment, that just fears, that wants to prove itself worthy for validation or whatever? You can't see your true worth there. It's really hard, okay? And then it really can taint your relationship to self and everything, okay? So I'm gonna just tapping into reparenting a little bit here because it's very, very valuable when you're dealing with wounds, is, you need to validate your needs without judgment. Whatever your inner child says, let's say you journal about what are my inner child needs? And you ask yourself, what is the emotion underneath this need? Okay. So whatever comes up, you can't carry judgment around it, okay? You really need to hold that unconditional acceptance for yourself so that the energy can shift. That is where the magic happens, all right? Love heals all. So when you reclaim your love for yourself and show that with yourself, things will shift at that time, all right? It gives them what they need. The pros, I wrote the pros of healing abandonment trauma, the pros of working with your inner child in this way are it increases your self-worth. It decreases your sense of attachment to others in a negative way, bestie, okay? Takes your power back. It releases illusions. The rose-colored glasses are illusions, okay? So the idea that someone else has power over you is an illusion unless you give it away. And this is hard. It's hard for me to say that. It feels sticky for me to say that because I understand that a lot, but it's not true, So let's do a little grounding exercise. I want you to ask yourself now. Hopefully you wrote those journal prompts down. They're worth it, trust me. So what are your inner child's needs? Could be a good one also. And how can you more deeply validate yourself and your emotions? This could look like on a daily basis after you connect more with your inner child, okay? After you connect more with your inner child, you ask yourself, how can I honor my inner child today? How about this? Am I honoring my true self right now? This could be in your relationships, and you're in a situation, you're in an engagement with somebody else. Are you honoring yourself right now? What does it mean to honor myself right now? How can I take my power back in the situation to more deeply honor myself? These are really great questions, and I want you to start asking yourself these things not to judge yourself, but to observe yourself so that you can change the pattern, so that you can change the relationship to the pattern, and it gets you out of it, okay? These are deeply embedded wounds that are generational and collective, and that's just the way it is. So once you accept where you are, who you are, and understand some of these tools, you'll be up and running. You're already here, and I'm hoping that this was helpful for you. So let me know in the comments. I'm gonna end this here. I gotta jump on another call. But please like and subscribe and comment below so I can boost the algorithm. I really support you and hope that you can support me in that way. And you can book a consultation call if this calls to you. I love you, and I hope you heal your abandonment trauma. Okay, bye.